School uniforms. I'll talk about the advantages, disadvantages, and controversies with school uniforms. This is my school uniform. I wear it every day, and I've had to wear it my entire life. The ultimate goal of schools is to educate students academically and socially and prepare youth to be good citizens in their communities. The average person spends 12 to 16 years in school preparing for the next 40 plus years out in the real world. The ultimate question is how to make those early years as beneficial as possible. Though there are vast differences in culture and economic levels, the educational process strives to develop skills which will serve youth in the future. There have been many discussions and disagreements over the years about how to make education efficient and effective. The debate is sure to continue. No solution is perfect, but some seem to have considerably more benefits than negative effects. One way schools encourage effective education is to require students to wear uniforms. While uniforms have been common in private schools, it was not until 1994 that the first public school district in the United States required school uniforms, Portner 124. Since that time, the number of public schools requiring uniforms has steadily increased to 1 in 5 in 2013. A stunning 4 in 5 schools in Ohio and Louisiana require uniforms, should schools require. By 2015, 80% of public schools enforced a strict dress code. That contrasts to 71% of private secondary schools with similar requirements. Which side? These statistics make one question the motivation and necessitate a school uniform policy. The advantages seem to be many and varied, including less stress on students, the reduction of socioeconomic status, identification, increased safety, increased school spirit, and a reduction in violence and harassment. As with anything, there will be those who criticize uniform requirements. Students feel they should be allowed to be creative and express themselves through their clothing. They would argue that they learn decision-making skills by choosing their clothing each day, so uniforms deprive them of learning how to make choices. While choosing what to wear each morning does not seem like a big deal, even 5 to 10 minutes each day spent in clothing decisions adds up to a considerable time over the course of a week, month, or year. Also, those who support uniforms counter by saying that allowing students to wear whatever they want is distracting and frequently inappropriate, encouraging harassment and violence. A girl in Orange County, California, was told that her skirt was too low cut and got in trouble by school staff. She challenged the authorities, claiming they were violating her First Amendment rights. The Daughter Dress Code 59. The ACLU has gotten involved in cases involving inappropriate school clothing, citing a violation of First Amendment rights. I sued my school. There's also the argument that creativity should be utilized and explored in the classroom through music, art, debate, creative writing, and not in creative expression through clothing. There are multiple healthy and appropriate ways to express oneself other than through clothing. Since the goal of education is to prepare students for the future in the workforce, and with workplace uniforms being common, schools that require uniforms are enhanced students' preparation for the future. Uniforms are a general leveler, making it more difficult to distinguish economic classes and backgrounds. Wearing uniforms also makes an individual feel like part of a group instead of just an isolated individual. School pride and spirit are also increased. Uniforms help increase student morale and ignite a higher sense of school spirit and pride. Pride in one's school is essential in maintaining and encouraging involvement and a healthy attitude towards school, classmates, and extracurricular activities. Feeling part of the group and working as one are valuable lessons, effectively preparing students for the future. Safety is another definite factor this day and age in schools. Requiring students to wear uniforms makes one able to quickly identify strangers in the building or on the school grounds. With several instances of attacks occurring on school campuses in recent years, easy identification of intruders is essential. A uniform policy makes it significantly easier for students as well as all school faculty and staff to easily identify outsiders. Wearing uniforms also seems to reduce violence among the students. After Long Beach began requiring uniforms, they reported a 36% reduction in crime the following year. Which side? Academic access is also increased because wearing designer clothes is no longer an issue. Students don't have to worry about being fashionable and can concentrate on their coursework instead. Those who argue against school uniforms say that it is a financial strain on families. Parents must purchase 2 sets of clothing for each child. One set is the uniform, another set is the evening and weekend activities. Those who promote school uniforms argue that it saves time and money. The average cost of a uniform for one child is approximately $150, 13 serious advantages. Parents in the U.S. spend over $1 billion a year, 12 advantages. School officials say that essential uniform items are cheaper in the long run because you do not need to purchase as many shirts and pants for each child, and they are certainly not as costly as the designer items. Considerable time is saved each morning by wearing a predetermined outfit. The extra time, effort, and energy can be efficiently utilized in sleeping, studying, eating, or leisurely preparing for the day ahead. School officials cite several other advantages of uniform requirements. Students tend to focus more on education, which is the obvious goal of schools. Concentrating on complex subject matter is difficult when it is dressed in pajamas or sweatpants. Having a dress code ensures that the youth are clothed in a manner that encourages productivity. Students thrive when they have a set of standards and know what is expected of them. Uniform policies set the bar and make expectations clear. Attendance and discipline are also improved in schools which mandate uniforms. Absenteeism, failures, and discipline problems decline when students have a uniform policy, school uniforms. Uniform usage contributes to more peaceful educational environment. Some students complain about uniforms and dislike the requirements because they are not as flattering as other garments. Schools should students. Individuals with extreme body types may have difficulty finding uniform clothes which fit properly. Ergo, that individual may feel more self-conscious in a mandated uniform. On the other hand, uniforms tend to be a great leveler and make it harder to distinguish who is cool and who is not. Stealing and coveting of clothes is also reduced. Uniforms accent the commonality between students instead of their differences, building community and cooperation. Because of the increased sense of unity, harassment is decreased and youth tend to be more supportive and accepting of one another. Considering the current climate of events in the United States and throughout the world, school uniforms seem to be the real advantage. One of the most compelling arguments in support of the school uniforms is increased ability to easily identify individuals. Those who are part of the system can easily be recognized, and more importantly, those who do not belong can be easily spotted. Weapons are also difficult to conceal in uniform clothing. Loose-fitting clothes with numerous pockets make it significantly easier to bring weapons to school. Just the possibility of violence and threats is enough to distract a student from full concentration and effective education. The controversy about school uniforms continues, and there is definite advantages and disadvantages. Those who support uniforms seem to have a stronger argument. Reasons for continuing to require uniforms include increased attendance, less violence and harassment, and better discipline. Heightened safety and awareness of intruders, additional school spirit, reduced costs, and lower stress level among students are additional positive results. The process of mandating school uniform use is seen in increasingly effective education, which is the goal of every educator, student, and parent.